Hello, we're recording my first episode in English with a guest that is really interesting to meet. I hope you can meet him too across this episode. Um, and he's Brad. Hello, Brad.
Hello, Omar. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Of course, no, thank you for coming. Um, and tell us about you. What do you do? Brad actually has a company of tequila, so we can say like that he likes Mexico and he likes tequila, of course. And actually, I met him recording a video for his brand, for his company. Um, and it was really interesting for me, actually, Brad, that you like um, Mexican culture. Or as a Mexican, we like to meet people that respect us, like admire Mexico. We're really like appreciate that. So the question would be like, why do you like Mexico and why do you like tequila? Tell us about that.
Well, let's start with why do I like Mexico? I mean, Mexico for me is a slice of paradise, but not in the sense of an island with palm trees and a beach. I mean, you have that anyway, down by the coast. But a slice of paradise in the sense of the kind of people that you can meet here, and the positivity that those people can bring, and how those people can influence you. And it's got to the point now where I identify more with Mexico than I do with England, which is very strange. When I go back to England, it's the time when I focus working on my business. Don't really go out the house because all I'm thinking about is coming back to Mexico. Whereas before, people in England would call me when I'm there. Hey Brad, what's going on? Do you wanna go out for food? Yeah, let's go and do this. Now when I'm back there for meetings, it's like, hey Brad, do you wanna go out? No. Why? Because I'm going back to Mexico. When? In 3 months. Looking at the calendar, crossing off the days. And then as soon as I get here, as soon as I land Guadalajara airport, I step off the plane and I just feel like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's strange. It's strange. And when I go back to London, I feel like a different person in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like straight away I go back into that mindset, back into not wanting to socialize. Because the people there are not my type of people, really and truly. And what I something that I've always been quite focused on is self-development and self-growth. Now, my friends from school in London that I grew up with, if I ever said to them, I'm going to go see a counsellor for some kind of problems, one, I would never say that, or I wouldn't have said that then, because they would look at me and be like, listen, like, grow up. What's wrong with you? Like, be a man. And they also would never say that they're going to go to a counsellor, because we're men, we're tough in a really shit environment called London. And what I find interesting is here in Guadalajara, so many people go for counselling, and it's open, and it's okay, it's acceptable to talk about it. So, for example, when we went to the distillery visit, when I first met you, and we were in the car, and I was a bit nervous because I was going to do the presenting, and I think it was either yourself or Miguel. You asked me, because I was fidgeting a lot, and because it's new to me doing presenting. And I think it was yourself. You said to me, are you nervous? The old me in London would have said, no, I'm not nervous. I'm a man. I don't get nervous. But because it's such a productive place here, and we're all trying to grow as people, I was like, yeah, I'm nervous. I'm really fucking nervous. Do you know what I mean? And I feel I can just be a lot more open and honest with the people here, because the people are a lot more open and honest with me. I find that when I speak to people here in Guadalajara, I've never heard the word maybe. I mean, maybe I have.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I haven't and not heard it.
We're more like yes or no.
Yes or
right?
no, and then I know it's I can handle the truth.
Yes.
You know, do you wanna go out for food? No, I'm not gonna start crying.
Mhm.
You know, whereas in London, do you want to go out for food? Maybe, and then you start saying maybe as well when they ask you. Suddenly, it becomes acceptable to not respect other people, and it becomes acceptable to almost play games with people. Maybe. I mean, what the hell does maybe mean? Maybe means you sit there and you wait there, and when I'm ready, maybe I'll say yes. It's quite a. I mean, it's. I understand in some situations. You know, it could be health issues or something like that. It's understandable, but when you hear maybe from people a hell of a lot of the time, then you start saying maybe, and I found that's what I was doing in London. And when I came here, my first experience here actually was mind blowing. So I went to go see an ear doctor, an ENT specialist. I had a problem with my ear here in Guadalajara. And I went to this office, and the doctor said to me, you know, Bradley, nice to meet you, da-da-da-da. We started talking a little bit. First off, in England, the doctors are very serious. Well, all doctors have a stressful job. They've all got to be qualified, professional, etc. Except the doctors in England, there's a barrier. You're a patient, I'm the doctor. There is no friendship between. And that's been my experience the whole life, and that's been all of my friends' experiences with doctors. However, this doctor is the first doctor I'd seen come into Guadalajara, and we just started sort of speaking. I thought, yeah, he's just trying to be nice, you know. I'm still in that English mindset. And he said to me, do you like tequila? I said, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about tequila, but it's okay. Next thing, he went and got 3 bottles of tequila from his office in the doctor's surgery, brought them over, and I'm sitting there with this doctor sampling tequila. And it dawned on me that I was in a really good place, that I was with a real person. Do you know what I mean? This is the real guy.
Yeah.
He was a real person. And also, he asked me if I smoked, and I'm a social smoker. So sometimes I smoke, sometimes I don't. And I said to him, yeah, sometimes if I have a drink, I have a cigarette. What about you? Expecting him, I mean, he's an ear, nose and throat specialist, and he's a doctor. Expecting him to be like, no, or if he did, to lie. Yeah, I smoke all the time. Thought it's brilliant. Not brilliant that you smoke, but it's brilliant that you're telling me the truth.
Yes.
And you're not trying to lie to me.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And that was my first experience interacting with somebody here in Guadalajara, which was unique.
Yeah, I think and I believe that you are knowing and getting to know people that are that type of people, like the better type of people here in Mexico. I believe you're maybe attracting, you know, that kind of people that are real, that are positive, that are good, you know, because we have everything too. We have like negative people too. We have maybe people, you know, that say maybe, you know, like people play games.
Sure.
Exists here too, but maybe in Guadalajara, maybe you are like getting to know that special type of people, or the better people, you know, maybe because you like, as you say, to be better, to grow as a person, as a human being. And but actually it's nice to hear someone from another country to talk that good about Mexico, because we are used to be disrespected for people, maybe like minimize us, you know, like see us smaller than they are. And I love Mexico too. I actually prefer to live in Mexico than United States or in another country. And that point for me is amazing that you like Mexico too, because as I mean, I see London, I hear about London, and I imagine like a magic place, like Howard's, you know, like magic.
We all drink
One
tea.
word.
We're all extremely polite. We all eat fish and chips, and we all speak like Harry Potter. It's not true.
Would you speak like Harry Potter?
I don't speak like Harry Potter.
Not you. But
Well, maybe I do. No. So in London, it's
how is London?
okay. So London, you've got very nice areas,
Yeah.
and I mean, I say very nice, but we're talking about a house in a very nice place. You know, the house, it could be, I don't know, $4 million, $10 million for a 3-bedroom townhouse, right next to your neighbour, right next to another neighbour, right next to another neighbour. So I say nice, but for me that's not nice. I'd rather live here in Mexico in a straw hut on the beach. Do you know what I mean? For 1/4 of the price. That's nice. So in London, I don't know how people get stuck into this mindset of wanting to live in an expensive neighbourhood and just being squashed in right next to each other. But how is London? So there's a big mix. Let's talk about the accents. So we've got, or used to have, people in East London, so it's the East of London, and they were called Cockneys. And these Cockneys had a language called Cockney rhyming slang. And the reason why they had this language is so that they could speak amongst each other, and only other Cockneys would know what they're talking about. So it's kind of not a secret language, because it's very funny in the sense of all they do is change the word that they want to say and rhyme it with another word. So for example, a Cockney would say, I'm going up the apple and pears. You know, like the fruit, apple and pears. I'm going up the apple and pears. What the hell does that mean? I'm going up the stairs. Or, I want to borrow your dog and bone. My dog? My perro? My bone? What? No, your phone. So they have all these, it's a very unique, charismatic language. They're from East London, and there's a place in London called Bow, and they say true Cockneys only come from within the vicinity where you can hear the Bow bells. So there's bells at the top of Bow Tower. And if you can hear the Bow bells and you were born there, you're a true Cockney. What's happened over time is they've left, and London's very diversified. We have, you know, I mean, we cook everybody else's food extremely well in London, and that's because so many, you know, loads of Mexican restaurants, loads of Italian restaurants and stuff like that. So London's extremely diversified. Going back to people speaking like Harry Potter, yeah, there are those people, you know, but they are people who come from a privileged background. I would say in general, they've been to private school. They may or may not have a rich family. I don't know. They might have got a bursary, but they're the minority. The majority of people, we've got a huge middle class in not only London but in England. There's a huge middle class. So a lot of people live an ordinary life, like myself. I consider myself middle class, and I live in a middle class area. And down the road, you've got a really, really rich area. And then down the road on the other side, you're a really, really, really poor area. And the craziest thing about the poor areas in London is I've experienced more crime there than I've experienced in Mexico. And it's bizarre because people say to me, Mexico, what are you doing in Mexico? Isn't it dangerous? I'm like, what are you doing in London? I'm like, that's dangerous. You know, the guy's got a black eye, and he's like, what are you doing in Mexico? I'm like, why have you got a black eye? I had a fight outside the pub. I got attacked by 3 guys. Oh, well, it doesn't happen in Guadalajara. I mean, of course, it happens.
Yeah, it could happen.
It could happen. But I've lived here for nearly 3 years, and I've actually never seen one fight. I think the worst thing I ever saw was somebody pushing each other in a bar in Andares. And it was kind of mind-blowing going out in London when I was growing up as a kid, and guaranteed you were going to have a fight. Friday night, we'd call it fight night. Not just me and my friends, everybody would call it fight night. And you'd basically go out. The whole environment when I look back at it now, it's kind of negative. I mean, calling it fight night for a start, it's not very positive, is it? What night is it? Fight night. Yeah, great. You're obviously going to have a great time, aren't you? You know? And wake up in the bloody police station the next day or in hospital. So I find it interesting how people consider Mexico more dangerous than some parts of London. But these are people who haven't been here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what me and you were saying the other day is, I'm glad those people don't come here.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm glad they don't come here, because if they came here with that very narrow-minded mindset, this place wouldn't be what it is. It wouldn't be the magic town that everyone, and myself included, believe that it is. So I'm kind of happy, in a twisted kind of way, that they're too scared to come here. You know, let's scare them even more. You know, we should tell them, listen, don't come here, man.
Don't come.
Just
Don't come.
you're going to die at the airport. They're going to kill you before you get on the plane. You're going to get killed.
It's dangerous. Don't come.
And real life stories. So, what why I feel London can be slightly more dangerous is because you have loads of different groups of people who would be maybe in a poor area or middle class area or whatever, but they're also fragmented, and there'll be about, I think in London there's over 100 gangs. Over 100 gangs in London. But these gangs are like groups of 5 or 6 kids, and they call themselves a gang, and they're pretty dangerous. You know, they're little 15-year-old kids walking around with knives, and a lot of people do get stabbed and killed in London. I think it's the stab capital of the world, which is shocking for a place, London, you know, the most the cultural centre of the world. And it's because you have so much fragmentation. And so basically there's nobody controlling these kids other than the police, but the police can only do so much. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand in Guadalajara, Mexico, if you get involved in illegal activities, chances are you're going to potentially have a very uncomfortable passing, highly uncomfortable. But if you're an average citizen doing whatever you're doing, I think, you know, the worst I've heard is people having their mobile phone snatched, someone cruising past on a motorbike snatching their phone. In London, a little kid will come up to you with a knife and clean your pockets out if you walk in the wrong area, like have you up against the wall, like it's nothing. Yeah. Which again brings us back to the point: is how can that be a place where you want to live? Like I look back on my life, and one, I'm really happy that I found Guadalajara and the people. Most importantly, the people are so friendly here. But two, I'm sad that I didn't find this place sooner. And I wasn't going out on fight night on Friday night in London. Do you know what I mean? Yes, I wish I could just cancel that part of my life and have come to this place sooner. But Guadalajara has put me on a journey of growth, spiritual growth, intellectual growth. And like you say, I'm attracting the right people, and the right people are attracting me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? For example, look how I met you. I met you 3 days ago. Yes. And it's like I know you. Mm-hmm. And you said to me, do you want to do a podcast? I said, oh, maybe. Or, you know, like, yeah, I want to do the podcast. What day? Bob, and here we are. You know, this is how life should be, right? Yes. It's simple. It just needs to be simple. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, and we have a saying like the best parties or the best reunions are not planned. Like when you are just doing another thing and then start, drinking, having a cup or something, or just like going to dinner, but it wasn't planned, and then we say like that those are the better plans. You know, have you experienced that?
100%. I mean, look what happened when we went to the distillery
Yeah, exactly.
to do the filming. Of course, the distillery was planned, but we didn't think the distillery owner was going to leave and just say, "I trust you. Just do what you want." And we're just all in the office, drinking all the Tahona and the Plata 48 and the Añejo and the Reposado, and just kind of, we weren't causing trouble, but we were laughing, joking. Everybody lived. It was as if the distillery was ours. They trusted us enough to just leave us there. And then we had that.
Did hot dogs.
Yeah. And then, we did that cool video of the distillery. You had your drone. And then from there, we went back to our friend's house, Miguel, who introduced us to his family, and his wife started singing. Everyone started taking their turns of singing. And my voice was probably the worst out of all of ours. But no, come on. Marcus, he was a good singer. Marcus was a good singer.
I think you're a better singer.
Thank you for the compliment.
But we all sing. Really,
that's the thing. We all tried.
Yeah,
we all tried.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing as well. If I was in London, I was with a group of my friends, and I said, let's all sing. One of them probably slapped me in the face.
Really?
Honestly, would probably slap me in the face. Be like, "Sing? Are you like? What's wrong with you, man? Like, we're men. We don't sing." Do you know what I mean? And it's but yeah, that was lovely, and that wasn't planned. We all went there, and his wife was singing. We're all singing songs, drinking, having a barbecue, having the hot dogs. Damn, those hot dogs tasted good.
Yeah, it was.
And that was unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
That was all unplanned.
Yeah.
That was all, and that we were living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We were living right then and there.
Yeah, I didn't see that before, but yeah, we're living in the moment. We're not like thinking about the future or the past. No, we're in the present, right?
Yeah.
And actually, there are a lot of books that try to make you live in the present. So maybe in Mexico we're doing that really good.
I think it'd be very hard to live in London and live in the present.
Yes.
Because one, you have an environment where it is high pressure, especially with work and with jobs, and everything has to be a lot more planned in England and London, and that's not just the people's fault. There's a lot more rules. There's a lot more. The bars close at 11. No matter what you do, no matter how nice and charming you are, they're not going to serve you a drink after 11. You then have to go to a nightclub. At a nightclub, you have to have identification, and they give you pretty rigorous searches, and the security there at the clubs in London are there to show you who's boss. They're not smiling. They're almost like, you're lucky to be here. So instantly when you're there, you're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable automatically. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, back to the point is you have to plan a lot. You have to plan. You have to make reservations to go to places. I mean, you would think, London, again, this city's, amazing nightlife. It can be, but you kind of have to plan. You have to go there at a certain time, or you're not going to get in, or your name's got to, be organised on a list. So you get stuck in this mindset of having to think other than the now. It's very impossible in London to meet with a group of friends and just be like, let's go to this nightclub now, because you're probably going to go there and they're going to be like, sorry, you can't come in. Do you know what I mean? Whereas,
you can go.
You can do whatever you want here, man.
Yeah, we can go. You can go to 3 clubs.
3 clubs, one after another, boom, at 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Just jump on a taxi, say, take me to the next one. Yeah. You're in another club. Yeah,
or maybe it's in front of the club is in front of the other club.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in general, it's just an amazing place.
The food. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the food
here in Mexico? So, I am slowly getting used to spicy food. In London, I mean, a lot of people eat everybody else's food from other countries. Like, English food isn't particularly good. Like, we have some places that have got really good fish and chips, but if you said, I'm going to an English restaurant, someone would be like, what is that? Yeah. Like, what is it? So in England, we do everybody else's food really good, like really good Italians, really good French food, really good Chinese, really good Thai, Vietnamese. And I haven't experienced Mexican food prior to coming to Mexico. Authentic Mexican food. That's the one thing in London that we don't really, the food we do is mainly European food. But I think slowly North, Central, and South American food is becoming more and more popular, just like tequila. Tequila is one of the fastest growing drinks sectors in the UK. So Mexico as a and not just tequila and not just food from North, Central, and South America, things Mexican are starting to become popular, like mariachi. Do you know what I mean? I had somebody in the UK asking me about mariachi, and I said to them, how do you know what that word even means? I saw it on television. It looks amazing. So things are growing, and I think people are starting to realise that maybe not just Mexico, because I haven't travelled around Central America and South America, but I think people in general are starting to realise that, for me, I know that Mexico, especially Guadalajara, is just so vibrant and just such an amazing place. And I think people are starting to realise that is a continental thing. Mexico southwards is salsa. I never would have gone to salsa before. When I'm back in London, one of the few things I do is go to a salsa class, which is interesting and cool. The funny thing about it, so I've been to salsa here in Guadalajara because I like dancing. I actually really like dancing, and here it's so free. It's in the now. You turn up. Free in the sense of, not free, you have to pay, of course, because it's somebody's time, but free in the sense of you can just kind of turn up when you want, jump in, that kind of stuff, and there's no nervousness around it. Whereas you go to salsa in London, you feel like you're going to a job interview. Literally, like everyone's lined up, all the girls are lined up here, all the boys are lined up here, everyone's like twitching their fingers. Obviously, people who've gone there a few times are, they're a lot more confident and comfortable. But the comparison to going the first salsa class in London to the first salsa class here, it was a different day and night. And the other interesting thing is, I remember going to a salsa class here, and there was an extra 2 guys in comparison to the numbers of girls. So I think there was like 10 girls and 12 guys. So there was always 2 guys kind of left out, and I was one of the guys at the end of it when you swap partners. And this guy said to me, "Do you want to dance?" And it wasn't like anything like sexual. I was like, "Yeah, let's learn." And he said, "Yeah, I want to learn." So we started dancing salsa, and I said, "Well, do you want to lead, or shall I lead?" And he said, "No, you lead, and then I'll lead." In London, so I tried bringing that same mentality of London. There was the same thing. There was a lot more guys, though, in comparison to girls when I was in London. I said to this guy, "Yep, shall we practice?" And he was like, "I'm not dancing with a guy." I was like, "Okay, I need to go back to Mexico."
In Mexico, we can dance
Yeah.
in a party with the cousin,
Yeah.
with the friend.
Yeah,
whatever.
because you're trying to learn.
Yeah.
You're trying to learn dancing, which is another unique thing actually, because I remember going to a bar or something, and I think they're playing salsa or reggaeton or something, and this guy said, "Do you want to dance with my wife?" And obviously having the English mindset, I was like, no. And he looked at me like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He's like, "I would like you to dance with my wife." I was like, "Okay." So I like grabbed her hands like really awkwardly, because in England, do you know what I mean? You would never go and do that. But why not? I mean, you don't own Mexican people are about having fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
about it, and I think that shows insecurity if you're like, "Oh, why are you looking at my girlfriend?" Or "Why are you talking to my girlfriend?" Or why no one's going to come up to your girlfriend and say, "Would you want to dance?" That's a bit of a, but it's a different mindset. And also, let's say you go to a bar in England, there'd be a lot of people sitting on the outskirts going, "Look at those wankers dancing. What a bunch of idiots." Do you know what I mean? Whereas in Mexico, the people on the inside dancing, "Look at those wankers not dancing. What a bunch of idiots." Do you know what I mean? So you're like, "Shit, I need to learn to dance. I'm going to be the one standing out, being the odd sheep here." So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we're all about having fun, and yeah, it's really interesting to this point of living in the present, because sometimes we can see that, and we can see our redness as Mexico, as a country that has magic, and if someone from another country can see that, we can see that too. We can appreciate what we have, right? So about the business that you have, I just have a question about, do you would you like to have a, your business is like from is selling something from here in London, but are you open to have a business in Mexico? Maybe you could have something in Mexico and live more time of the year in Mexico. And what do you think about that?
So the end question you asked, living more time in Mexico,
Yeah.
that's the beginning goal.
Okay.
That's actually one of the reasons why I started this business. Is it's going to, one, I love tequila, and two, this business is going to eventually enable me to live here for forever. I mean, at the moment, I only go back to London for meetings and to do important stuff. But eventually, it is going to give me the flexibility to be able to live here permanently. So out of the last 3 years, I have lived here for 2 years in total, but it's a lot of travelling between here and London. But I want to completely, like you say, even if it's a little bit of time going back to London, I want to be in the position where I can eliminate that completely, because there's nothing there for me anymore.
Yeah.
I've realised that.
Life.
There's nothing, my life is here.
Yeah.
My life is actually here.
We have a saying that mexicano nace donde le dé su chingada gana. Like, a Mexican can be born, maybe born wherever the fuck they want.
It doesn't matter, it's the soul and the attitude.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
cool. So will you marry a Mexican girl?
Oh, 100%.
You like
100%.
Mexican girls?
I mean, one, they're extremely, extremely beautiful. But two, their personalities are beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely beautiful. I think I should stop saying so much bad stuff about London. They're probably going to tear up my passport. Okay, the King Charles is going to watch this and say, okay, listen, do you know what? We're going to cut up your passport. Let's say you like that. But I'm just being real. I'm just telling it. I'm just telling you how it is. So I remember going on a couple of dates here in Guadalajara, and I was just blown away. One, by their physical beauty, but also, again, by how they want to live in the moment, and how they're I find the women here are turned off by people who want to play games. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, so the point is, so I went on a couple of dates here, and I was blown away by the beautiful personalities of the women here, and also their beautiful looks. And then I had to do one of my trips back to London, and this is a true story. I was walking to the shop from where I live, and there was this girl, beautiful English girl. I was watching her because I was walking down a road, and she was like next to me, like behind some dustbins, like some dustbins behind McDonald's. I don't know, something like that. I was walking down, and I was looking. I was thinking, what are you doing standing there? She was all dressed up for a night out. She pulled down her panties, squatted down, and started urinating behind the back of the dustbin. And I stopped for a minute, and I just looked at this, and I just thought, you would never see this in Mexico. Well, in Guadalajara, the women just don't do that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's just not something.
Doesn't happen here.
No, it doesn't happen. They have a lot more. They're a lot more feminine. I mean, they have a lot more self-respect, and you can only respect somebody who respects themselves, right? If somebody doesn't respect themselves, you're not really going to respect them. I mean, I didn't say anything to her. I wasn't going to be rude. I found it quite funny, but I remember walking off thinking to myself, my God, I can't believe I ever dated English girls. That not every English girl does that, of course.
Yeah.
But it was just
Your
a snapshot.
experience that day
It was.
was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That day was.
I wouldn't say a nightmare. I would just say it was. I mean, that was the first day I came back, and I was like, "What the bloody hell am I doing here?" So yeah, the women are beautiful, and their personalities are beautiful, and I find the women here very feminine. But also quite strong. Mexican women are quite strong, and they're very healthy. They're not interested, the majority of them, in doing drugs or going out and getting absolutely smashed, or sleeping around. I mean, of course that happens, but in comparison to the English culture, I think it happens a lot less. I think there's a lot more traditional kind of relationships here, a lot more kind of how things suit me as a person. Do you know what I mean?
Suits you exactly. Yeah, you like that. So that's interesting. Like you want to make a life here, maybe have kids.
Definitely. I mean, I was so. My name is Bradley John Newland, and I was joking around with an ex-partner of mine, and I said to her, she's from Guadalajara, and I said to her, I'm going to change my name to Braulio Juan Nueva Terra. So that's going to be my Mexican name, Braulio.
Braulio sounds nice.
Yeah. And the middle name's John, so I could be Juan.
And how are your skills with Spanish?
Yeah, so yo hablo poquito español.
Hablas poquito.
Sí.
¿Qué palabras sabes?
Pero este problema es yo necesito aprender más palabras.
Yeah.
Y los verbos es muy difícil para mí. In English, the verbs are pretty basic and straightforward. Like English is like a... How can I describe this? So English, I find, is like a building. You know, it has the foundation, it has the bricks, it has the roof. You can take one brick out and you can put that brick in another place and the house will still be there. Whereas Spanish is more like a painting. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes sometimes there are no rules. Do you know there's no rules? You just have to learn why that word is feminine or why that word is masculine, even though it doesn't end in an A or an O.
Also, si estás en un rancho, little town, hablas diferente.
Yeah, muy colloquial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Es coloquial. Todo va variando. It change where in the place you are. Like if you're in the city. Also there are accents, of course. I don't know, but we liked to show foreign people Mexican words. So, do you know what chingada means?
Yo estoy chingón.
Chingón.
Todos los días.
Chingón. Okay.
And that's why I actually love the way Mexican... This is going to sound pretty bad. I love the way Mexicans swear. I think it's brilliant. You know, in England, if you swear in public, you can actually get arrested for that. I'm not joking. You can get arrested for swearing, but it's a criminal offence. Whereas here, you can just express yourself. And the funniest thing is as well as you do you mind me swearing on camera? Is that all right?
No? Yeah.
So in England, if you said to somebody, your friend, or, well, yeah, especially someone who wasn't your friend, but even a friend, if you said, fuck your mum, it's probably going to end up in a hostile situation. Whereas here, chinga tu madre. And the first time I heard that, I was like, oh shit, he's going to get punched in the face. Yeah. And the guy was like, no, chinga tu madre todas. And it's, do you know what I mean? And I was like, this is brilliant. And it's not only the guys, the girls say to each other as well. You know, it's quite, and it's just that sense of freedom. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't feel like I'm not allowed to swear because I might get arrested. You know, it's, and you're expressing yourself, you know, you're expressing yourself. Whereas people in England take themselves quite seriously. And, you know, if someone said that, your friend, you know, it's like, I'm going to prove I'm a man and, you know, I'm going to have an argument. Come on, man. Life's about having fun, right? Which is what Mexicans do so well.
Yeah, we actually have fun with that. We have a...
Which is crazy. Yeah. It's still a concept that is so bizarre, but also it's so unique. Mm-hmm. Because it enables you to remember your loved ones in a positive way.
Yes.
As opposed to in England, we bury people, we cry, and we're like, I don't want to go near the graveyard, I don't want to be reminded of it. Whereas here, you actually celebrate it in a beautiful way. And when I was in England and I first learned about Dias de Muertos, I thought, oh, that's dark, that's evil. But then actually when I went to a pantheon and I saw how it's celebrated and how people go there and bring their beloved one's favourite things, some whiskey or some tequila or something that they like to eat and leave it on the grave and light it up. It's a very powerful way of healing your grief for the loss that you have, instead of trying to bury that feeling and get rid of it and forget it didn't exist and shove it in the cupboard, which is what we do in England. Do you know what I mean? But here you actually celebrate it. It reminds me of Buddhism. So I've travelled a lot around Thailand and Southeast Asia, and one time I was on a little motorbike going up in the hills. God knows where I got lost for like 4 days, and there was a ceremony. They were setting off fireworks, people were clapping, people were singing, and I thought this is a concert. So I said to somebody, what's going on? I said, it's a funeral. I was like, it's a funeral? And people are happy, clapping, and they were setting off fireworks, there's a big fire. Wow. And I thought, this is so different to what we do. You know, for us, it's wear black, cry, you know, don't smile, all very serious. And that kind of makes it a horrible experience, right? Mm-hmm. But in Mexico, it reminded me of that day in Thailand. Your Dias de Muertos. It reminded me that celebration of the dead, of your loved ones. And why shouldn't you? You know?
I see like Mexicans in another country live like in the past, just like the opposite. When you live here, I feel like we're living in the present.
And what's so surprising to me is I've met a lot of Mexicans here while I've been traveling around, and I ask them where they're from, and they say they're from America, but I know they're from Mexico, and I think, why would you want to identify with America in comparison to Mexico? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would be proud to say I'm from Mexico.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? I want to be Mexican.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a strange happening though. I can't really, and there's a lot of people that do that.
Yes.
They identify with a different country, almost because they're not proud that they're from Mexico.
Maybe because they think Mexico is dangerous. They all that you say, right? And when they visit Mexico, maybe it's just 1 week or two, so they don't really know what we are about.
What's happening here?
They don't go to parties. They don't work here, you know, and maybe they think only about the money. And I'm making money in another country, so I'm better than living in Mexico, and that's nice. That's good. That's not a bad thing. But maybe like realizing Mexico is really magic, right? Really, like you can come for a month, you know, for 2 months, whatever the time you can, and experience Mexico and experience that all of the things you're talking in this episode, and yeah, like embracing what you are in your country, in your other people living here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I reiterate, Mexico it's a magical place for me, and I have a reference point. So I've lived in South Africa. I've lived in a place called Zimbabwe, which is just north of South Africa. I've lived in different cities in England. I've lived in Vietnam. I've lived in Thailand, and I've lived in Myanmar, which used to be called Burma, and I've lived in Mexico. So it's not like you've just taken me out of a dark hole, plonked me here, and I'm like, this is amazing, because you've got no reference. I've lived in some pretty amazing places, and out of everywhere I've lived, even been on, I've been on holiday to even more places. Of course, we all have. But living's different. Living's a lot different. Out of everywhere I've lived, I couldn't have either. I feel like I've hit the jackpot. Not financially, but emotionally and progress-wise. Especially starting up my business, Premium Tequila, which actually was started with me taking a bottle of tequila to DHL in Zapopan, in Andares. I took a bottle of tequila there, and I said to the guy in DHL, yeah, can you post this to London, please? He's like, you're not allowed to do that. I said, why? So I want to sell it. And he gave me this big book of rules from the CRT, the Tequila Regulatory Body, and that's how my business started.
Wow.
That's how the business, and it's grown with the help of a lot of Mexican people here in Guadalajara. You know, like our filming that we're doing at the distillery.
It sounds like a movie, like a really good part where a movie starts, you know, like a bottle of tequila
At the local post office, just trying your luck. I'm going to send this to London, and they're looking at me like, are you dumb? like this is illegal.
Yeah.
And I started arguing with the guy. I was like, come on, man, I could just wrap it up. It's just a bottle of tequila. Just send it.
Yeah.
And that was the start. That was the start of the journey. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, Brad, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you for recording this podcast and talking and being real with us, real with me in this interview. So I hope we can do some business together later.
100%. We're going to go back to some more distilleries. We're going to do some more filming. We're going to try more tequila. Hopefully
Videos.
not get as hungover as we did on Saturday / Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.
Goodbye.
Cheers.